What's up, English class?
It's time for Ryan and Mike for this segment.
Let's get right to it. What's the topic?
It's about J.D. Salinger's controversial book, Catcher in the Rye.
That's a very controversial topic.
Yes, it is.
This has been a controversial book since '61 when it was first banned in Oklahoma. Why don't you tell us what and who the topic focuses on?
It will focus on the controversy around the book and how the murder of John Lennon and the attempted assassination of Ronald Reagan began.
Wow, that's deep. Well, you might be asking when this takes place and when the height of the controversy is. Well, the height of controversy is between the 60s and the 80s.
Those were good times.
Also, this topic occurs all around the U.S. during that time.
Let's ask this news reporter about some of the controversy that came about.
Dated March 10, 1983, one of 4 letters Chapman wrote to Spiro. Chapman writes, Lennon was a phony of highest degree, but there were others who could and would have served the same purpose.
Spiro says Chapman had a hit list that went beyond John Lennon. Others targeted included Jackie Onassis, Marlon Brando, Walter Cronkite, and George C. Scott. Why? Spiro says Chapman thought these people were phony and hated phoniness, much like the main character in The Catcher in the Rye, Holden Caulfield.
That's insane, man. But let's see some more reasons it was banned.
It's been banned in many public school systems across the country. It's no surprise based on the nature of the content. They talk about alcohol use, prostitution, there's a little bit of drug use in the story. So it does have some of those darker elements to life in America, but it's very much a tale of what goes on day to day, and it's a picture of reality. So I think it's important for young students, especially high school age students, to read Catcher in the Rye because it is an accurate glimpse into American society, and it's very eloquently written through the eyes of a teenager. So I appreciated that as such, and I also appreciate...
Let's see why Watch Mojo named this book #1 on the top 10 list of banned books.
In the Rye, J.D. Salinger.
Catcher in the Rye has sold 60 million copies. That's an unprecedented figure, and continues to sell, by the way, 250,000 copies a year.
Holden Caulfield has long since established a legendary status within literature as the epitome of teenage angst. But Caulfield's language, family values, moral codes, and rebellious habits have landed J.D. Salinger and The Catcher in the Rye in very hot water, very frequently.
On page 89, I'd rather push a guy out the window or chop his head off with an axe than sock him in the jaw.
An incessantly challenged book. Teachers have actually been fired for assigning it, and murderers have actually claimed inspiration after reading it.
This nitwit Chapman, who shot John Lennon, said he did it because he wanted to draw the attention of the world to Catcher in the Rye.
In 1981, it achieved a curious balance as the most censored book and the second most taught book in U.S. public schools. And today, it's our undisputed best of the band.
It just crossed all the lines on every level, between old and young, rich and poor, black and white, male and female, everywhere. Millions and millions and millions of people.
To wrap things up, let's hear from our musical guest, Falcoon. Catcher in the Rye was banned in '61. Holden jumps a kid, now he's on the run. Holden beat his ass cause he's poking fun. He messed up bad, now his mother doesn't want him as a son. For a 16-year-old, he does drink a lot, inviting prostitutes and messing around with them thoughts. Doing all this dumb stuff, thinking he'd never get caught. Not trying to spoil this, but that's the basic plot. Phoebe listens and understands him more than most. Holden and her are really close. She convinces him to be better, acts dumb in reality, he's really clever.
That was great.
He's getting hot with frost, from what I hear from T.O. kids.
I believe it.
To conclude this show, this book is controversial for its suggestive drug use, prostitution, alcohol, violence, and having a connection to a couple murders.
Alright, Ryan, that concludes our segment.